Welcome back to the Stuff About Money podcast. I am Erik Garcia, certified financial planner, your co-host, joined by the one, the only Xavier Angel, CFP. What's up, Javi? Javi, just so y'all know, Javi's his Spanish name. You know, he works around a bunch of Spanish people, so we call him Javi around here. Javi, what's up?
Dude, you got my daughter calling me Hobby now. My daughter walks around the house, Hobby, Hobby, Hobby. I'm like, Grace, really? So yes, I've taken on that name from being around a bunch of Hispanics over the past 3.5 years.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is, especially the Cuban culture. I've learned so much about the Cuban culture.
All right, give me
Um,
one thing, man. What's one thing that you've learned to appreciate about my people?
the Cuban sandwich. I'm very particular in the Cuban sandwich now.
Yes. Oh man, delicious, delicious.
So found a great restaurant downtown. Went to
Okay.
it.
All
So
right. Good
all right,
stuff. Oh yeah, you did send me some.
good.
We're not here to talk about how
Yeah, yeah.
wonderful Cubans are, right? That's not what we're here for. We are here to talk about. Oh man, I kind of fought. I'll be honest, guys. I fought this a little bit to talk about this topic. Hopefully, we could talk about it from a different light. But resolutions, I don't like personally. This is me. I don't like resolutions. I don't make resolutions anymore. I used to make a lot of resolutions. I don't do it anymore. But it's 2024. It's a new year. You can't get away from the internet without seeing 2024 resolutions. 2024 resolutions, right? Xavier, what do you think?
I,
You
well,
think
I think I
resolution?
think Eric is against resolutions. Where most people are setting their resolutions to go to the gym, Eric canceled his gym
I did.
membership.
I did. I'm swimming. I'm swimming upstream.
Yeah, he's going upstream. But
Here,
in your defense, though, and we had this conversation a couple times. We always get into saying what our New Year's resolutions are going to be, and we've got these great ideas in December after Christmas, and then we come in and we say, this is our New Year's resolution. I'm going to get a gym membership. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out 3 times a week, and I'm going to lose weight. The average individual only keeps that New Year's resolution for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. And then after that, they're back doing what it was they
do you
set
know
out
what
to do.
percentage? You know what percentage of people keep their resolutions through the entire year?
I know it's a low number.
Do you know how low?
Come, come
Take a
on, give it
guess.
to me. I'd probably
Okay.
say about 13, 14%.
1%. This is a Forbes study. 1%. This is why I'm against New Year's resolutions. Now, let me say this. Let me say this. And we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions. Let me just kind of give you the context of how we're going to do this show. We're going to talk about one piece of advice that Xavier and I would give to others about money. And then we're going to share one piece of advice that we're giving ourselves personally. And then we're going to wrap it up with how we keep ourselves and others accountable to that. But here's what's interesting. I'm not against the idea of resolutions. All resolutions are coming from a position of people recognizing that there's areas in their life that they value, that they deem important, that they recognize they need to change or improve upon, right? In fact, you know the three areas for 2024 that most people are, and this is the case for every year. This is not 2024, but you know what the three areas that people are making resolutions in mostly?
Give it to us. What are they?
Physical health, mental health, finances.
And if we look at physical health, every year people talk about how they're going to lose weight and go to the gym.
Yeah.
My problem with that is, why come out and put a New Year's resolution on it? You should be doing that every single day.
If it's a
And
value of yours, if it's a value of yours, it should drive your lifestyle 100%. Yeah.
one of the things that we did was, and you asked me a couple of days ago, how do I keep myself accountable for
Let's
whatever it
let's
is
hold
we're
let's hold
doing?
let's we're gonna get to that.
Okay,
We're
all
gonna
right.
get
I
to that.
was going to talk about our working out,
Oh,
but go
you
ahead.
gotta you
Come
can
on.
talk about a workout. Don't talk about how we're tracking it, but
All right.
Xavier and I
Too
have
too bad I can't show them the pad or the big piece of paper. What is that? Like 3 by 3 foot piece of paper on the wall that's
that's
tracking
not a
our
square.
weight.
I thought you're a physics major, dude. You're better at like shapes, right? That's not a square, it's a rectangle. It's not 3 by 3.
All right, 2.5 by 3.
Not even, not even. Xavier and I have we have been enjoying food. Let's just put it that way. We've been enjoying food a little bit too much. So we entered into a little bit of a challenge last year. But all right, let's jump into this. we're not gonna give you this exhaustive list of, we're gonna keep this to finances, okay? Since obviously that's our wheelhouse. We're not gonna give you an exhaustive list of what you need to do in 2024 to clean up your finances. Xavier and I were having a conversation about if there's one piece of advice that you're giving to other people right now, if they were to ask, what would it be? And that's kind of how we're gonna do the first part of this segment. And then we were just talking about personal things, like what are we doing specifically? It's one thing in our life that we want to change from a financial standpoint. And so we're gonna be a little bit vulnerable with y'all and share those. And then again, we're gonna wrap up with how we are keeping ourselves accountable to those objectives that we've set for ourselves. So I'm gonna start off and just ask Xavier. Xavier, what is one piece of financial advice right now that you're giving to other people that's not just important here at the beginning of the year, but it's important to that's important to integrate into your life?
And I think that's great, integrating this into your life, because this is something that we have to do on a regular basis. And so that piece of advice that I have for our listeners is budgeting and savings, right?
Whoa, you just said two, man. It's gonna be
No,
one.
no, it's tied up into
One.
one, because in
Cheat.
order for me to
Cheat.
meet, no, let me explain. If I know that I'm coming up and I need to save more, and that piece of advice is for individuals to begin to save more. Well, in order to save, I have to budget, because I've got to know what I have so that I can save it. So it sounds like two, but it's really one.
Okay.
So sit down and look at what your budget is. And then from that budget, what I want you guys to do is to come back and put together a saving strategy and begin saving more.
So what comes first? Budgeting or saving?
Budgeting.
Budgeting comes first. So you would say
Budgeting,
the most important thing that people can integrate is budgeting.
correct.
Okay.
Right. Look at what your finances are. Look at what goes in, what comes in, what goes out, and put together a strategy and
So
start saving more.
let's get real tactical here. Okay. Let's get real tactical. To say we talk to people all the time, and everyone knows that they need to have a budget. And a lot of people carry a lot of shame and guilt, like, oh, I know I should have a budget, but I don't have one. So tactically, all right, you tell me to do a budget, man. I hate budget.
Well,
I push back on budgets. Where do I even give me like the first next step?
my first step that I did was sit down and look at what are my expenses. I'm
Okay.
looking at what am I spending on to AT&T? What do I spend with AT&T?
Okay, so you're looking historically. What have you been spending?
Correct.
Okay.
And through that, I've realized after looking at that, I'm paying for an iPad that nobody has used. I think it's $15 a month, $10 or $15 a month that
Yeah.
I'm spending on an iPad that no one has used in 2 years.
Mm.
So I'm uncovering things that I'm paying for that we're not using.
Mhm.
Then I go through and start looking at the direct TV bill, right? And all the subscriptions that we're now forced to pay.
Yeah.
So go back and look at what your expenses are. That's the start of finding money.
Yeah. So you kind of stole my one piece of advice. This is, I thought you were going somewhere else, but you stole my one piece of advice uh on budgeting. So one thing I would give to others is, I'm not even going to say budget. I'm going to say people need to become spending aware. They need to become aware how they're spending their money. So let's keep talking about this a little bit, and then I want to hop
Mhm.
into your savings point, because that's important too. Um, so basically what you're saying is people need to be aware of how money is leaving their bank account. What are they spending it
Yes.
on? How, what are their trends in spending? Is that what I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, absolutely. That is it. How are you spending? What are the trends in your spending? Because we can't move to the next step until we understand what those trends are.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't, it's super important to understand your habits, to see them face. And I'm gonna tell you, this is a painful exercise for a lot of people to sit down. So here's the tactics. Here's the tactics, y'all. This is to do what Xavier and I are talking about. Basically, what you want to do is, my recommendation would be, take a look at your last 3 months worth of spending, your credit card, your bank account, and just make a mental note. It helps if you can export it, put in a spreadsheet, throw some categories on where your different expenditures are. But just before you even make a decision on what you should spend money on, just become fully aware of what you've been spending your money on. That exercise alone will drive and motivate a lot of your decisions on how you should be spending, or how where you want to be spending more.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, so spending aware, we both agree that spending aware, since we're going to talk about two different things here, mine and yours, our first kind of intersected, but you threw out two, so you kind of cheated. That's all right. It's okay.
They
The
go
second
they go
one
hand they go hand in hand like a
is
glove.
save. All right, so we talked about spending aware, budget, and then save. Talk to me about saving. What are you thinking there, man? Sounds obvious, right?
It does
Save
sound
more,
obvious.
right? In fact, spending and saving, those are actually within the financial resolutions that people make. It always has to do with spend less, save more, right?
And a lot of our listeners and clients have heard us say this word, purpose. And so when I'm talking savings, you got to have a purpose for what you're saving for. Where are you putting your money? What are you saving it for? And I think if you have those two in line and you understand those two, it makes saving money easier. So have that purpose for what you're going to be saving for. All too often I hear, well, I can't do this because, I can't put money into my 401k. And I can't do that because I've got all this other stuff that I'm worried about. I just purchased a car. I'm trying to buy a house. I've got to go out there and purchase a new stove. Yes, a stove. I had a client come to me and tell me that they could not put money into their 401k because they have to go out and buy a stove. Now the stove is $13,000.
Whoa.
Yes. And so my response to him was, how often do you cook? Because I didn't know you cook.
You spending $13,000 on a stove, and you have $200 of Uber Eats fees every month. Explain that one. Yeah.
So, but it looks nice. So you have to have that purpose. And once you gather that purpose on what you're trying to accomplish, it makes it easier to begin saving money.
Yeah, yeah. When you identify something to save for, it becomes a motivation. I want to save for travel. I want to save for my retirement. I want to save because I want to change jobs because I hate where I'm at and I want to go somewhere where I'm appreciated, or it's more life-giving for me, or I want to retire early, whatever it might be. When you have that purpose, when you identified that thing that's important, it's easy to save towards.
Correct. And so, Eric, since you're actually telling us, you just talked about a bunch of purposes for savings,
Yeah. Okay.
right? So let's move on to personal, because this
Oh,
kind of sounds like what your personal goal for 2024 is.
me.
Yes, you.
Yeah,
So
me.
tell us, what is your personal goal for 2024?
Yeah, one of my personal financial goals for 2024 is to spend more on experiences with my family. And I'm not talking about like, these crazy mountaintop experiences, like we're gonna go hike Everest or nothing crazy like that. My wife's a teacher, and um, she has days off from school, holidays off from school. So what I'm trying to do is be more intentional on taking time off when she's off. Because what I find is when she's off and the kids are off, she'll tend to do impromptu things with the kids. And um and I'm always working, I'm busy. I'm not intentional about taking the time off. So I want to make sure that I'm purposeful and intentional to design my calendar, my work time around hers, since she's kind of dictated to when she can and can't work as a teacher, and I have a little bit more flexibility in my work calendar. I want to be intentional on making sure that I'm off when she's off. Obviously, I can't take 3 months off during the summer, but I think you get the idea. Whether it's, hey, we're going ice skating in Baton Rouge today. Are you working? Can you come? I want to be in the position to say, yeah, I'm coming. right? Or hey, we're going to the
Now that
zoo
ice skating obviously isn't on the river or a lake. That's indoor.
indoor. And I didn't ice skate because last time I skated on wheels, like I fell backwards, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the things that did my shoulder in. So I don't have I'm 6'3", y'all, and I have terrible balance. So I stay on the ground with shoes on, not skates. But still driving up and being around and sharing that experience and creating memories. There's a cost to that, whether I'm not working or there's a dollar, monetary cost to it. And I just want to be in a position to create those experiences, those memories with my family more intentionally.
You're gonna have me have once Maureen listens to this, I'm gonna have to add that to one of my goals too, because that's one thing that she's been telling me. Take the day
Do
out.
we need to
Take
cut this out? Should we go back and edit this out? Just so I can change my personal goal for you, Xavier.
Well, I think this is gonna her listening to this and Jen listening to this is gonna hold both of us accountable now
Mm.
because Maureen's gonna want that as well.
Does Maureen listen to
So
you? She doesn't. She hears you enough.
occasionally she will listen to me at work. Yesterday,
I'll make sure she listens to this one.
so Maureen's working from home right now. She had plantar fasciitis surgery 2.5, 3 weeks ago, so she's working from home. So I'm in the home office working, and I can hear her listening to something in the background. And so I get up and I go in there. I'm like, Maureen, what are you listening to? You're watching a program? She's like, no, I'm listening to a podcast while I work. It helps me. The music kind of distracts me. So this podcast is just helping me to concentrate on what I'm doing.
She listens to your voice. Was it your podcast? Was it you talking?
No, it wasn't.
Does your voice soothe her?
Not this time. It was one of these mysteries,
Like murder mysteries?
murder mystery that she's listening to. So
Oh man.
I don't know if that's good or bad for me.
All right.
But
What's your one thing, man? What's the one piece of advice, financial advice that you're giving yourself this year?
that goal that I have for myself is saving more,
Okay.
purposely saving more this year. So coming up with a goal and being intentional about where I'm putting money and how I'm saving money.
So the advice you're giving others is the same advice you're giving yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So what's your process for saving more? Is there like a shortcut or a hack that gets you there? Like once you identified what you want to save for, what's something really tactical that you can do or people can do or that you're doing? So we're talking about you to do that. Make sure that you're doing it.
It goes back to the advice that I gave for this year.
Mhm.
I sat down and I've gone through all of my expenses. I've looked at my habits.
Okay.
Maureen is sitting down and looking at where her spending comes from and what her habits are. And once we do that, now we can sit together and we're looking at that. And now we're putting together that budget. And so I now know the disposable cash that I have, and I can go out there and decide here's the purpose.
Yeah.
My daughter's going to a Catholic high school next year, so I know I have additional expenses. I would
Mhm.
rather be able to save and cut a check for that tuition rather than taking the loan out and paying whatever the interest is over the
Yeah.
course of that 10, 11, 12 months.
Yeah.
So I have purpose. And because of that purpose, I'm going to be intentional about where I put money.
That's good. That's good. All right. So we've talked about the one piece of advice that we'd give to others for this year. We've talked about the piece of advice that we're kind of giving ourselves and following ourselves. Let's talk about how we keep ourselves accountable to this. What are you doing to make sure that you stick to this advice that you're giving yourself?
I think the obvious one is now everybody out here listening to this podcast is going to hold us accountable to it. Similar
Everybody,
to
Xavier's email address is Xavier at plan-wisely.com. Shoot him an email every week. Make sure he's saving for high school tuition for his daughter. There we go.
hey, it kind of goes back to our conversation we had this summer about the car, right?
Oh yeah.
You put something out there and now you have to hold yourself accountable because you have everyone listening to you and everyone is asking you, how's that goal coming?
He's
You know,
referring to we recorded a series of podcasts where where Xavier was driving his old hoopty beat up 2008 Honda Accord, and he wouldn't buy a new car because he had a real specific goal he was working towards. Y'all can go back and listen to those.
And it's very interesting how it came up. But by saying that on the podcast, I now became accountable
Mm.
for what I was doing.
So is this your accountability? The fact that you're sharing it here publicly on the podcast, is that the only bit of accountability?
It's not the only bit of accountability. I have
Yeah.
it written down. I know what I want to do. I'm writing it down. And if I write it down, I can now see it on a regular basis
Yeah.
rather than just saying I'm going to do something. So, you want to write it and you want to have it out so that you know where it is and you're looking at it.
Yeah.
And then get that accountability partner, right? My
Yeah.
wife, my daughter, Erik. These are all my accountability partners now because Erik and I have these conversations regarding our goals on a regular basis. And Grace and Maureen understand that, hey, look, if we're doing these things, then we have the opportunity to do or have experiences together. So that's my accountability.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And Erik, what about you? Tell us yours.
Yeah, a couple things. The first thing, again, the goal is making sure that my calendar aligns with my wife's calendar. I keep a digital calendar, but I'm a very visual person, and it's too easy to ignore my digital calendar. I was talking to a financial planner buddy of mine, Brian Hartman, and every year he's been buying this calendar. It's called the Big Ass Calendar. It is a physical calendar. It is huge. You put it on your wall. It's let me see if I'm better with dimensions. I'm looking at it right now. It's about 2 by 3. Okay, it's a rectangle, not a square. And essentially every month is listed out horizontally, and it's day by day. January 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, written out horizontally. And it comes with these little Post-it notes. I'm holding it up. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. These small Post-it notes that fit into a daily square, and they're different colors. And orange is my color for when Jen's off of work. So on this calendar, I have, for the days that I know that she is off of work that are scheduled, I have an orange Post-it note in there, so I can visually see when she's off. So what that does is it makes me plan towards those days. If I know that she's off, I'm going to keep a light work day in case she's doing something. Sometimes I'll work from home just to be around, just to be present. But I won't schedule. I'll block it on my digital calendar so no one can schedule me. So that physical reminder forces me to put it on my digital calendar so no one can schedule me. But that's the number one thing that I'm doing.
In that calendar, you're consistently looking at it because it's behind the camera right now, correct?
Yeah, it's
So
right
when
there.
you're
Yeah,
on the phone, when you're working, you have that visually up on the wall.
I do. When I'm scheduling clients, um, I'm looking at it. I'm double checking. I'm making sure. I also have a red Post-it note. This is kind of part of that. Is I want to make sure that I'm intentional in spending time one-on-one with my wife or with our friends, right? So I can see I have a red tab just to remind me, and then I have a green tab that are my conferences. When am I going to be out of town? Again, it's a physical, visual reminder for me to keep me accountable to that.
So you bought this big ass calendar for
That's
yourself,
right.
correct?
That's right.
And I get this little
I bought you a
bitty
little.
calendar.
Look, man, I bought you a little calendar. Every month has one little financial topic
But
that we can focus on. I mean, you go
so
buy your own
wait,
calendar,
hold
man.
up. So I'm the one that's visually that has vision problems, and you got me the small calendar to put on my wall on the other side of the office, and you got yourself the big ass. And
Okay,
if you're not watching, I've
it's
got air quotes. So big ass
it's
calendar.
big. It's big.
It is. It
It's
is.
big. Okay,
So
let's sit here for a second. Let's sit here for a second. I got Xavier a Christmas gift. It's a calendar, and it's this beautiful calendar. There's an influencer in the financial space, and he does these little doodles, these little drawings, and each drawing it's like a financial topic. And I thought, well, how great would this be if we could have themes that Xavier and I could talk about these themes in this calendar? So I gave him one of these calendars. Let's talk about what Xavier got me for a gift for Christmas. Oh, wait a minute. What? Nothing.
friendship.
Oh Lord.
Friendship. brotherhood,
Oh Lord.
camaraderie.
Friendship, brotherhood. I'm I am moved. I am about to tear up, Javi. I'm tearing up. All right, guys, look. Um, I don't know if you made resolutions, and if you did, I'm not poo-pooing your resolutions. I do think that there's something valuable about being reflective about things in our life that we want to improve. I think health, finances, tend to be very valuable things that we find value in as people. And I do think that we should be looking to make improvements in those areas. My contention with resolutions is they rarely work. On the financial side, y'all know Xavier and I are certified financial planners. Okay. Part of what we do and what we incorporate into our work with our clients is because we recognize the importance of changing behaviors. And all a resolution is, it's a behavior change, right? We recognize the importance in engaging people, particularly our clients, in behavior change as it deals with their finances. All right. So if you are someone who's like, man, I've got these things I want to change in my finances, that's part of what we do. That's part of the work that Xavier and I incorporate into how we interact with our clients. It's not just about let's save more for retirement. Let's invest more. That's a part of what we do. It's an important part of what we do, but I would say almost a more meaningful part of what we do with our clients, the stuff that the feedback that we hear from our clients, the things that give us both life in what we do, is seeing our clients identify something that they want to change with their finances and coming alongside of them, putting together a strategy and executing on that strategy, whatever it might be. So if that defines you, you're someone who wants help with any of the things that we've talked about today: cash flow management, save more, being intentional about spending on experiences. That's part of the work we do, and we would love to have a conversation with you if that's something that moves you.
So in parting,
In
the
parting,
the two things that I would say is for 2024, remember two words, and I know Erik speaks about these often: purpose
purpose,
and intentionality.
love it,
Love you, brother.
purpose. Javi, you are honorary Cuban, brother.
I
Peace.
love it.